Welcome back to Mullin Farm. Today I'm here with Lance. We are going to be talking to you a bit about our calf rearing system. But before we get started on that, Lance is just going to share with you a little bit about our farm. So I'll let him take over.
Okay, so we farm in South Taranaki, which is obviously in Taranaki in the North Island of New Zealand. So we're a seasonal dairy farm. So we calve in springtime only. We milk for about 10 months of the year, and then we're dry for 2 months over winter. We farm about 85 hectares, roughly 230 to 240 cows, mixed herd of Jerseys, Friesians and crossbreds, and a few other interesting animals thrown in just for fun. So yeah, I grew up on this farm. This was my parents' farm. After growing up, I went off to uni, studied ag science there, and then Claire and I farmed on a few different farms around Taranaki, leasing farms and share milking and stuff. We eventually came back and share milked here for mum and dad, and then I think bought the farm about 7 years ago. So yeah. So this is the first season that we've used this calf shed. So we've just, it's been a project for us this winter to set this calf shed up. It's actually in our hay barn. So we've wanted to build a new calf shed for a while, but haven't been able to afford to, because a shed like this is probably sort of $40,000 to $50,000. So we had a shed we've always used up the front of the farm, which worked okay, but the problem we always found with it was it has got a concrete floor in it, so it just didn't drain. So the start of the season it was fine, but a month to 6 weeks in, it just started getting really wet, and we found it just wasn't ideal. So this was kind of our dream shed, and we decided, well, the hay barn is empty this time of the year, and the calf shed is only used for sort of 6 to 8 weeks of the year, so let's build our calf shed in the hay barn, and it's worked really well. It's nice and sunny back here, as you can hopefully see, and yeah, we've been able to make heaps of space, so it's about 2.5 square metres per calf. And the regulations, say minimum of 1.5, so we've given them lots of room. We can actually fit more calves in if we ever needed to. We've also we have been over the last couple of years actually going towards Adlib feeding, which for those of you that don't know, Adlib is just, so you fully feed us up once a day, and then they can just feed as much as they want when they want to.
So you can see here that you've got some calves that are full that have come off, and then some that carrying on feeding. So yeah, that just works really well. Obviously, because we've got a mixed breed herd, there is some big kind of Friesian calves in there with smaller Jerseys. That way they kind of get as much as they need without some missing out. We've tried a few different feeders over our years of calf rearing. Initially we started with really massive, like 15, the Stallion, 15 teat long feeders with individual compartments. We really hated those. We just found that it made calf rearing really difficult. You'd have some that were finished, they'd bunt off another one that was still going, and it just really didn't work. After that we moved to the milk bar 5 teat, like little round feeders, and we just used 3 of those in a pen. They worked really well. The thing, and we stuck with those for a really long time. So the first lot was our first set of calf equipment that we bought second hand. We just sold those on and swapped them with the milk bar ones. They just, when we moved to this farm, they didn't work with our system, so the milk bar ones were perfect. The problem we found with those was because they were rounded, you kind of had teats sticking out in all directions, and it didn't kind of work for lining the calves up really well. Switched this year to the milk bar feeders that you've seen previously in our video here. So they're 20 teat feeders, like a big round one, nice solid base. We were a little bit worried that they may get knocked over, but they're really solid and they're working really well for us. They have got 20 teats on them, and we are only putting about 13 in a pen, which means if one gets bumped off, they can move to the next one so that no one's kind of missing out.
So one of the things we decided, we've talked a lot over the years, and it's one of our probably, what would I say, one of the things we sort of live by is it needs to be simple, since it's just Claire and I. So that was why we went to Adlib feeding, why we went to the new milk bar, they're called Adlib 20 feeders. And so I've also just built out of our old cafeteria actually a new milk tank with a pump on it, so whoever's feeding the calves can pull up and just feed them over the gate, and you don't have to get into the pen once they're sort of trained and get eaten too much. So it's going to work really well. We've also decided we're going to use these new grey feeders once they're in the paddock. So I actually chopped up our old cafeteria, and I've used that to make the milk tank, so we'll show you that a little bit later in the video. And the idea with that is just to, I think, again, to simplify everything, keep things nice and easy, so you don't have to stand there, park the cafeteria in the paddock and wait for them to feed. You can fill them up, make sure they're all feeding, and then carry on to the next block. Yeah.
One of the things we're really enjoying about the shed, and it's really important for us, is that we're coming past the shed every day and seeing the calves. They're bugging me too much. They used to be kind of in a shed that was just off the main turnabout for the tanker, so kind of out of the way where you wouldn't see them very much. So this has been really neat because it's really important for us to make our calves really friendly, because it just makes them heaps easier to manage when they are in the cow shed or as heifers. So that's one really cool bonus of having this shed where it is. It's nice and open, they can see us all the time, and yeah, it's really cool.
It's kind of the first time, apart from when we first started farming, we bought a cafeteria on wheels, really spending money on our calf rearing, and sort of it was really cool to be able to do it the way we've wanted to do it. So we also bought new meal and hay racks and stuff like that, so it's worked out well, and it actually hasn't been a very expensive exercise since the shed was already here. So obviously with Adlib, it's really important that they've always got something to chew on during the day, so we always make sure they've got meal and hay from day one and water from day one, and we feed them in the afternoon/evening, so that way, so that the research shows that you tend to find that they'll sort of chew on that roughage during the day, which is it helps build up their rumen and gets their rumen working. So rather than if you feed them first thing in the morning, they tend to drink all their milk and then go find somewhere to sleep all day, and that's really important also once you put them out on grass. So you want them to wake up in the morning, graze all day, and then have their milk in the afternoon.
So one thing that we have been really conscious of is making sure that we're choosing feed for our animals that are really good quality. Obviously they need to fit within our budget. We're not going to be spending a ton of money on feed, but just actually looking at the ingredients list and going, you know, well, I wouldn't eat that, so is it going to be good for our animals to eat? So just being really conscious of that these animals are going to be producing milk for New Zealand and all over the world. We just want to give them a really good start, and also kind of fit that in with our values around our regen and things like that. So just one more thing that I forgot to add. We teach our calves on warm milk, and we feed them warm milk for about the first week with the whole pen. So if we're adding new calves, especially at the beginning of the season, we make sure that that last calf has had warm milk for the first week of its life, and then they'll go on to cold milk. And the other thing is, with the gold colostrum, we leave all of our calves on the cow for the first probably 2 days, especially at the start of the season. It can be even longer until we are actually ready to get started. So our calves are always fed gold colostrum straight from the cows. Obviously, if we have bad weather and we've just got a calf that's born in the mud, or that's not getting up and feeding, we'll bring that one in and we will give it the gold colostrum. But I say like 98% of the time they feed on the cow really, really well. All of our cows mother really well. Our heifers have been amazing mothers this year. It's really cool to see them out there with their babies, and yeah, then after that couple of days we bring them into the shed.
Cool, so as I mentioned earlier, with moving to the Adlib feeding and the new calf shed, I've built this new milk tank. So I ummed and ahed for a little while of what exactly to do, because the new calf shed's sort of part way back to the farm in our hay barn. I came up with this. This used to be our Caffeteria, so made by McKee Plastics. It was a 40 teat feeder, so it did have a big ring right around the outside of big bins that you filled up with milk with teats on it. So I removed those, cut the big steel ring off, and this is what was left. So it holds I think 500 litres, and well, on the side of it here I bought through spray quit in Harwood a calf milk pump. So that was about $900. So the cool thing about it was that was the only expense of the whole project, since we already had the tank. That came with the hose and the fittings and the nozzle, so that was everything included. So what I've done, as I said, I've taken the Caffeteria teat troughs off. They had originally these 2 taps that filled the troughs off, so I've kept one tap, I've blanked the other one off, and that just goes to the inlet side of the pump, and then from the outlet side of the pump goes to our coiled hose there, and then as you would have seen in the video, it has a nozzle on it, a bit like a petrol bowser, which is actually really cool. I've seen these before, I've never used one before, but it works fantastic. I think I might extend that with a bit of alkathene or something, so that you can actually feed the troughs, fill the troughs a little bit easier from outside the pens. And then the plan being that, yeah, you drive back there 5 or 10 minutes to fill them all up and you're done. And you know, eventually, once you've trained all the calves, you won't have to go into the pens to fill the troughs up. So that's the plan. So no, really happy with it. McKee actually sell a really similar product themselves, with an electric pump instead of a petrol pump, but it costs about $5,000. So the fact that we already had this feeder, you know, it saved us a ton of money. So we've had it for about 15 years. Actually, it says something about the quality of their products. So it actually is, you know, it's got years of life left in it now. So yeah, really happy with it. I think it's going to be great. Also going to use it once we're feeding the calves in the paddock, as I said, I think. So we're going to use our the new Adlib feeders that we've bought there in the paddock, and just, yeah, the idea is drive up, fill them up with this, and leave the calves feeding and move on to the next mob. Yeah, just need to teach Claire how to drive the tractor now. So anyway guys, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks heaps for watching, we really appreciate it.
We're really loving having your comments on our videos, but if you enjoyed our video, we'd appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. We're really enjoying making content, but the bit that we're really liking the most is the comments people are leaving. It's really great to make connections with like-minded people.
And we've also got a whole heap of other videos up, vintage tractors, gardening, Claire's homesteading and preserving, and much more. So if you liked what you watch and you haven't seen our other videos already, head on over and check them out. Thanks heaps for watching guys, and see you next time.
Bye!